napenda maua, nikipata kamula tunaweka pati. Nasi unajua wendo wangu wa kishua, nikipata kamula nitalipa mahari. When you wanna do, places you wanna go, we will go, we will go. All you need to know, itisha kwa fujo kunado, kunado, nikiwa nawe, ni furaha tele tele, nikiwa nawe.
Yo kwanga busy 247 kadila Miss Independent. Before visho bete kwanza nataka jijenge, akona dreams na goals, vitu anataka ni most. Nataki mwanaume amfanyia anadai kufanya mwenyewe, akona standards, anajiheshimu, kuna vitu hawezi fanya hata nada, anajua kitu anataka na anajua tapata, jua live ile anajituma sajezi moja.
Na mawazo ni kibao, je nikikosa mado, iweje, iweje. Na mawazo ni kibao, je nikikosa mado, iweje, iweje.
Yeah. Text nyaje babes, nikamtumia hizo ma throwbacks za tene. Like even though shapata mtu usinilenge, kuna stuff na den kwambia kadisa suseme. Of all my exes ni woli kwa my favorite, and I hope your current babes are right. Amambenda replace akicheza ku terrified, na nikaongeza hapo emoji za kucheka just in case uko
kiwa nawe. Ni furaha tele tele, nikiwa nawe. Ni furaha tele tele.
Why? Hey. A very good morning to you. That is how we're starting this day, and that is Valentine's Day. We have, that is the Exit Band entertaining us this morning. We have a rapper as well. Let me tell you, today we're going to sing, we're going to dance, we're going to have a good time, but also have a very important conversation. So I want to say happy Valentine's to you, wherever you're watching us from. I hope that you're happy. I hope that your day is starting out in a good way. This morning when I was coming to work, I had someone say that, you know, wasichana, every hour that passes by, tunachungulia hivi mlango tuone, flower imekuja, or if you are in the office, any bouquet that comes in, unachungulia uone kama ni yako. I really hope that you're not feeling that pressure as far as Valentine's Day is concerned. The show today is on Valentine's Day reflection, yes, but we are looking at the power of self-love. Yes, to celebrate wapenda nao na wapoa wao, but also we want to understand how self-love impacts us, and especially when it comes to choosing a partner. Okay, so you do not want to go anywhere. We're going to have an amazing conversation lined up for you today right here at Karibu Inn. And let me tell you, I wish you were here to see how Karibu Inn has gone over and above, just to make sure that your experience today will be top notch. And guess what? They have a kissing bridge, okay? So wewe na mpoa wako mnakuja hapa, and then you kiss on the kissing bridge, and then also carry a padlock, yeah, so that you lock your love. Mnaambiana zile maneno matamu, and then you lock your love. But if you do not have a padlock, they'll give you one, okay? And on top of that, they have a beautiful ambience. They have beautiful grounds as well, and they also have luxurious rooms. So your day today is covered, and that is at Karibu Inn. Later on, we'll be speaking to the director and CEO of Karibu in just watupatie more gist as far as what they have prepared for you today. But my guests are already here. Before I introduce them, I have a very simple question for you today, okay? And our question is, if your love life was a song, what would it be and why? Okay, so if your love life was a song, what would it be and why? Interact with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie, or better yet, use our WhatsApp number 0112 500 400. If you wanna, do a shout out to mpoa wako, also feel free to do so. But I really want to know your love life at this moment. What song would it be and why? But let me introduce my guest this morning. We have on my immediate left, we have Pastor Cynthia Wambui Otieno. Let me tell you, I feel even bad kuwa separate, because ni Don Otieno and Pastor Cynthia Wambui Otieno, like they are together. It is good to see you this morning. How are you doing? Please speak to your mic. Watu wa nyumbani wawasikie. How are you doing?
Very well.
Happy Valentine. I want to be nosy. Amefanya nini? Day imeanza. What has he done?
Chips mwitu.
Yay! Chips mwitu for the win. Chips mwitu for the win.
Ataki bandis.
Chips mwitu for the win. I like that. And Dawn, what has she done?
She got up this morning.
Okay, I mean that's I mean that's we'll take that because I mean if you didn't wake up we wouldn't be here. Hata ungekula chips mwitu. So Sidio, you don't want to speak to your mic now. Nyumbani wanataka kusikia that beautiful voice. And I'm so happy to have both of you. Thank you so much for coming. I was doing some bit of stalking, then you kind of I do that to all my guests. I just want to see and just want to know who I'll have on set. But before we even talk about the day and, we're talking about self-love and why it's important. Also, by the way, later on, we'll be joined by Nangami Masaka. And if you know her, she's a self-mastery coach. And I usually call her self-mastery queen. She does not mince her words when it comes to self-mastery and self-love as well. We'll have her later on. But for now, let's talk about you guys. Let's go all the way back, okay? Many years ago. I don't want to say many years ago because maybe it's not many years ago, okay? But beautiful years ago, right? So Dawn akaona Cynthia, and then Cynthia akaona Dawn, and then you like me, I like you, Sinini, and then you're here today, all right? Can we go back and just get to understand you guys and your story? When did you meet? How was it?
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Dawn and I met 16. Actually, no. It's 18 years ago.
18 years ago. Okay.
We've been married 16 this year.
Yay.
So in around 2006, we were living in the United States at the time, and he and I went to a conference.
All right.
Separately. We both attended a conference, and he was leading worship.
All right.
During one of the segments, and that's how I first saw him. I saw him leading worship, and I was like, that ain't bad.
Yeah. Anyway, what to worship you looking at Dawn.
I mean, macho haina pazia.
True.
So me, I was like, I stopped for a moment. I was a single girl at the time, and I looked and I said, that's not bad, And so at the end of the worship experience, I walked up. I'm a strong, assertive
alpha woman,
of course. And so I walked up to him and introduced myself.
Yes.
And I said, hi, my name is Cynthia.
Yeah.
What's your name? And he said, I'm Dawn. But he was in amongst other worshippers, and I think they were preparing for the next segment. That's my excuse.
Okay.
Because he looked at me and he said hi and turned back to the people he was talking to. And I said, you don't do that.
No.
So that was our first meeting.
That's Cynthia's perspective. Dawn, let's get to hear. This beautiful lady sees you, says hi, then you turn.
Yes, I think this my point will actually come in even later on based on our topic.
All right.
I was focused.
Okay.
I was doing what brought me there, So I said hello like a gentleman and turned back because there was no other conversation happening. So it was not being rude, but I said hello.
Yes.
And nice to see you. Pleasure. And thank you for enjoying the worship.
Yeah.
And I turned back to... It was not disrespect or anything. I guess I was focused in what I was doing.
I see. Okay. So you say hi. He turns back, continues. Then you're like, not that, sir. No.
So after that, I didn't die. I didn't die from that experience. So we left, I think it was a 3-day conference. It was 3 days or so. Later on, I got to find out that he was not single. And that's the reason why there was no interaction.
I see.
2 years later is when now he came for my ordination. He had been invited to lead worship.
All right.
And during that ordination, I noticed he didn't have the ring. I thought that he had gotten married, so I had moved on with my life.
All right.
I noticed he didn't have the ring. Gentlemen, make sure. Munajitambulisha.
At this point.
So that's how we had one date, one only date. And he asked me to marry him.
No way.
Yes. This is
After
such a convinced contact. Yeah.
Right? After one date?
After one date. So after the ordination, we went for dinner. And during the dinner, I mean, it was really nice, but we were not alone because you remember, this is my ordination. I'm getting
there's a lot
in
of
town.
people around you.
And my sister had come and had 2 children. And my sister insisted she has to come for that date. That one date.
Yes.
The one date that I hope to get to know this man. My elder sister said, no, you need a chaperone. How can a single girl go with a single man in an Italian restaurant? No, I'm coming.
I'm going to go.
So we all went like a family dinner. And I said to myself, if this man can stomach my entire family, plus children, he's the one.
Okay.
He must be the one.
All
Because, I mean, we are very talkative as a family. So my sister and I had the dinner with him, and he was such a gentleman. He really included everybody in the conversation, even the little kids, because she had little children at the time.
All right.
And I was like, whoa, this one is a keeper.
Yeah. Now, Dawn, were you scared? Were you? I mean, it's the first date, and then the entire family comes. Hiya.
Actually, the sis was a bit intimidating.
I can imagine.
It was more of a Guantanamo Bay kind of interrogation. You know?
Who are you? Where's your family from?
Where do you come from? What do you do? Why? How? When? How come?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, whoa, okay. But at that point, I didn't think, I didn't take it as a bad thing.
All right.
I was enjoying conversation. For me, it was, okay, we're talking.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hide. So we got to talk. I answered all the questions. I didn't find it weird at that point.
Okay.
Because I think at that point, I was also in a space where I had come off of a relationship.
All right.
And it was bad. So I was like...
Were you married? Because you said you had a ring.
No, I was engaged.
Okay. And we see women mostly with engagement rings, but you had one to tell the ladies, I am off the market. Stay away. To the ring.
Yes. You know, again, sometimes being in the limelight in terms of ministry, you're up there and everyone is seeing
all
you.
The ladies
sometimes
are looking at you.
Yes, and I liked being different, actually. So even I remember in my engagement, we both wore rings.
Okay.
Just as a sign of, hey, by the way, we are doing this.
Yeah.
So
that is very different, but also very interesting because most of the time it's usually the lady, who has the ring.
Yeah.
I like that concept. I like that concept so that we don't get things twisted.
Don't get it twisted.
No, we don't get it twisted.
Yes.
Okay, but again, so on this one date, had you guys like spoken before? Because like I said, after one date, and then you asked her to marry you after one date. Some of us would run away, be like, red flag.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I think one of the most beautiful things is that we were both mature.
Okay.
We were not in our 20s, we were in our mid-30s.
All right, I see.
So I believe we had met many different people in the past. And for me, one of the things after meeting Dawn in that 2006, and then 2007, I was still single, I was still seeing other people. Meeting him back now in 2008 was, I had prayed about it, I had asked God what does he require of me? But also, I had also made peace.
All right.
I had made peace that even if I do not get married, I won't fizzle and die.
Yeah.
There is something more that God has for me as a single woman. So I had actually surrendered. At that point in time, I had surrendered that maybe I may not get married because I was getting into my 30, I think I was around 33, 34.
All right.
So by the time I meet him and he comes for my ordination, and at that particular time, let me tell you something. I used to have conversations with my mother, and you know, I know there's some mothers who will be listening to this.
Yeah.
And you know how our mothers in our teens, we were told never, don't even look at a man, don't even sit next to a man, don't even do anything with a man. You'll get pregnant. In your 20s, you're told focus on your career, get some little money, don't let a man disconnect you from your purpose. In your 30s, my mom started having malaria. What is happening? Waboy. What is going on? Is it that you do not want to be married? So there were so many things that were happening. So that then, by the time now I talk to my mother, one of the conversations I had with her, because she used to call me a lot, and she would tell me, is there something happening? Is there anything going on?
Is there hope?
And one day she called me and she asked me the question, and she said, I'm praying for you, Wabui. I'm praying that you get a man.
All right.
You know, at that time, I had already met him, but he hasn't said anything.
Okay.
And she said, you know what, Wabui, I'm praying that you get a man, whether he's, and you know, she's very dramatic. She's late now.
Oh, I'm
she was
sorry.
very dramatic. And she said, I do not care if he's Muzungu. I do not care if he's Chinese. And even if it's worse, he's a Luo. I do not mind if he's called Otieno.
And guess what?
I married an Otieno. Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
And you know what? I actually hear what you're saying, because for a lot of ladies, when you speak to them, they tell you, hey, sure.
Yes.
Auntie.
Yes.
They're always like, hey, time in enda, what's happening? So
Yeah.
most ladies actually bow to that pressure and just get anyone apeleke home so that munyamaze.
Munyamaze mutuache.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Otieno, did you know this?
I came to hear, of course, the conversation between her and her mother.
Yeah.
I didn't know until much later, you know, what was going on.
Yeah.
For me, it was, hey, I've met someone.
Yes.
And, you know, the conversation we had, even with my parents, we had never had that issue of where the person is coming from. For me, I think the main thing from my parents was, are they a believer? And that was the core thing. So for me, it wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
Because I had dated, the previous girl was from the same community.
Okay,
I had dated someone else from a different community.
Okay.
So it had never been an issue. It had never been something that is considered if you want to date or you want to get married.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it was an open thing.
Yes.
You know, you meet someone, you love them, hey, let's begin this conversation and see how it goes.
And they say as long as you share the same values and you align and all those things,
Right.
which we'll actually talk about, because now I think either we're getting it wrong or maybe we were never taught about this well in terms of what exactly does that mean, because most of the time we focus on chemistry, and as long as the chemistry is there, easy vitu zingine we will figure as we move on. So you said you came from another relationship, you were engaged, and like you said, it was not good, right? So you broke that off, and then came so this beautiful lady and said, you know what, let's try it, all those things.
Yes.
But where were you at that point, like emotionally, spiritually, you know, because we're always told take some time to heal, but again that time is usually relative. Other people take longer, other people take, you know, shorter. So where were you, in what space were you in before you asked her after the first date to, you know, will you marry me?
Yes. I think the formula, I don't think there's a formula to sit here and tell people, okay, follow this way and this is the direction that will take you to the space you want to be. But I think that space where I was in, I got to a place, because our story actually is, I got into detention now from the US.
Oh.
Now I was coming back. I was being removed from the US because of overstaying my visa.
All right.
So I was in detention for a month.
30 days.
30 days.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And in the detention, I got someone who actually cared. Someone who wrote me a letter every day, tried to find out how I was doing, kept my hopes alive. And I think that overshadows the duration of how long we had known each other and where you've been. Because I tell men a lot, not even just men, look out for the people who are right beside you in your lowest moments. Those are the people who you should take care of and keep an eye on, because they will walk the long haul with you.
Absolutely.
You know, at your lowest point, you know, she was there.
Yeah.
She wrote
You know,
me
it will
a
be
letter.
easy for you to run away and say, hey, this one,
Exactly.
detention, I am out, you know.
Yes.
So I hear what you're saying. So that for you was sort of like a confirmation that this is the person you want to, you know, spend
I
the
can
rest of
tell
your
you,
life
I didn't even think twice.
Yeah.
Because I sat down and I thought, wow, I have best friends. I have family. I have relatives. I have I've been in ministry for this long time.
Yeah.
But people didn't seem to be there.
Yeah.
At that moment.
I hear that. I really
very
hear
few
that.
people were there, you know. Other than immediate family, you try and look and you think, okay, where are all those people who are usually around me?
Yeah.
You know,
they were not there. They were not there. I am tempted to ask Cynthia, so then what was the eat for you? I know the fact that he survived the date with your entire family.
Yes.
And he was comfortable and, you know, managed the conversations very well. That for you was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, on top of the first time that you saw him and you're like, this ain't bad. Is there anything else that was like a total confirmation that this was it? Very quickly as we go on a break.
I think the greatest thing is alignment, spiritual alignment for me.
Okay.
It's more than the good looks and the great chemistry. Because we had great chemistry, we would talk the whole night.
Yeah.
You know, over the phone. He was in New Jersey and was in Ohio. So apart from that, we had such a connection where our spiritual journey was concerned.
Okay.
So for me, that was it. Because I mean, that's the greatest value that I felt that held the weight.
Yeah.
Of what relationship
should be. I see that. And when we come back from the break, we'll also want to unpack that. Okay. Because again, like they usually say, foundation is very important. And now that we're focusing today on self-love, right?
Yeah.
And the power of self-love and that and how that sort of like influences the partners that we choose. So we'll unpack more of that. I really, really like your story. And we're going on a break. Remember the question that we're asking you this morning is very simple. And that is, if your love life right now would be a song, what would it be and why? Okay, if your love life was a song right now, where you are in this point, what song would it be and why? Interact with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. There you have it, the question of the day, and that is, if your love life was a song, what would it be and why? All right, so we're going on a break, but the exit band is here to entertain us even as we get in the mood, because it is the day all about love. So exit band, over to you.
Promis, bébé, les love des voyous, c'est ça. Ici, je vais effacer le mensonge. Chikabango baloba, oh, chikabango baloba, oh, oh, oh. Laissez-le gouma. On a traversé les hauts et les bas. La vie n'est pas parfaite comme tu le pensais. Je choisirai de te suivre partout à tes côtés. Accepter de mourir à ta place si ça vaut la peine. J'adore trop ton âme que ton anatomie, baby. J'adore trop ton âme que ton anatomie, ma chérie. Kidogo boyo suri na kuzawapi. Si ce n'est pas ton bébé na kubalana. Siri ya mapenzi, siri ya mapenzi ni nini? Ni wewe na mimi, ni sisi wawili tunapendana. I got your back, you got my back, you take me way back. Si kama jana, don't be alone for the night.
Shilingi 1,000. Toka kwa hiyo sanduku. Stoki. Oh, rudisha hiyo pesa kwa sanduku namba 10.
Ongeza ifike 50.
Kwa nini? Anataka ukule popcorn ukitizama runinga, sawa? 100,000 Kenya. Inch TV. Smart. 1,000. Yes!
In today's world, staying informed is more than just a choice. It's a necessity. Nation.Africa provides you with trusted, insightful, and engaging content to enjoy unlimited articles that go beyond the headlines. Visit Nation.Africa. Browse through the available articles and choose one that interests you. As you scroll down to read the article, you'll encounter a paywall message. To continue reading, please subscribe for full access. If you already have an account, log in using your credentials. If you're a new user, you can either create a new account by clicking register and providing your email address and other required details, or sign in with your Google ID for a quicker, hassle-free registration process. Select the subscription plan that best suits your needs and budget. Provide your payment details as prompted. You can choose between M-Pesa and card payment options. If you have a coupon or promo code, enter it in the designated field to receive a discount. Review your order details and confirm your payment. For M-Pesa, you'll be redirected to your mobile device to enter your PIN. Once your payment is successful, you'll receive a confirmation message. After completing the subscription process, you'll have immediate access to all content on Nation.Africa. Enjoy reading. Nation.Africa. Empower Africa.
Machi 7 tunasherehekea wanawake, tunapiga hatua kwa udhabiti na nguvu. Chini ya anga angavu, tunaanza safari ya kusherehekea wanawake wanaoongoza njia. Tunawakaribisha wanawake wote Muthaiga Golf Club kwa uzoefu wa kipekee wa mchezo wa golf. Ari ya kusonga mbele imesalia nasi, tunapong'aa kwa mtindo wa kifahari na uzuri wa kipekee. Huu ni mwendo wetu, huu ni wakati wetu. Heri ya wanawake duniani.
Hustle is survival.
When a loved one's lost.
Catch these exciting shows only on My Shematic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
On a traversé le haut et les bas. La vie n'est pas parfaite comme tu le pensais. Je choisirai de vivre partout à tes côtés. Accepter de mourir à ta place si ça vaut la peine. J'adore trop ton âme que ton anatomie, baby. J'adore trop ton âme que ton anatomie, ma chérie. Besoin à pied, si ce n'est pas toi mon bébé, n'a qu'au balanan. Qui doit boyer chérie, n'a besoin à pied. Si ce n'est pas toi mon bébé, n'a qu'au balanan.
Siri ya mapenzi ni nini? Ni wewe na mimi, ni sisi wawili tunapendana. I got your back, you got my back. You take me way back, si kama jana. Don't be alone for the night. I'm only here for the vibes. I wanna take you out, baby, sit it down. Baby, sit down, you drive me crazy. Siri ya mapenzi ni mimi, ni wewe na mimi, ni sisi wawili tunapendana. I got your back, you got my back. You take me way back, si kama jana.
Kidogo boye chérie, n'a besoin à pied. Si ce n'est pas toi mon bébé, n'a qu'au balanan. Kidogo boye chérie, n'a besoin à pied. Si ce n'est pas toi mon bébé, n'a qu'au balanani. Ils sont ces jaloux qui veulent nous voir à deux. Ils sont ces jaloux qui veulent nous diviser. Ils sont ces jaloux qui veulent nous voir à terre. Ils sont ces jaloux qui veulent nous diviser.
Entertaining us this morning right here on Your World on this Valentine's special. So happy Valentine's to you, wherever you're watching us from. If you are expecting flowers, if you've already received flowers for the men, if you've gotten your bells and your socks, well, we said ladies, not anymore. They have enough belts and they have enough socks, okay? But if you're also anticipating, any of those, we say happy Valentine's to you. But kama pia hauna mpoa wako, it is still okay. Celebrate yourself, because today we're talking about the power of self-love. So take yourself out, buy yourself flowers, do something to make this day special. All right, and remember, we're coming to you from Karibu Inn, where they have a special day today, and they have packaged, they have a special package for you this Valentine's Day. So wewe na mpoa wako, if you're looking for a plan, ama you're like, hey, where do I take her or where do I take him, feel free to also drop by at Karibu Inn. They have perfect ambience for you. They have a kissing bridge where you and poa wako mneza patana mkakisa po under the bridge and carry your padlock so that you lock your love. But kama hamna padlock, don't you worry, because they will also give you a padlock. And from what I understand, you also have to sign somewhere that this love that we're locking today will be there forever. We'll be speaking to the director and CEO a little bit later to give us more information on the same. But of course, they've curated a special menu just for you today on Valentine's Day. And they have special offers. We'll get to hear more on that a little bit later. But for now, the question that we're asking you today on this Valentine's Day special is, if your love life Sahi Kule Uko was a song, what would it be and why? Okay, if your love life was a song, what would it be and why? Our socials are at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. But if you want to use our WhatsApp number, it's 0112 500 400. Let me tell you, hey, what is going on? So, someone says, Monica Milo, this is on Facebook, says, Embedodo, hey, changani. And then she says, it's hard to find the true love. And then Stingy Boy Jose says, Toxic Love by Samido. Wait, hi. Pam Omumia says, do you see anything to smile about? So you know that song? Hey, Gitonga Favor says unconditional love. Why? Okay. Samuel Ngige says Toxic Love by Samido. Humphrey Karani says unconditionally by Katy Perry. I thought it was unconditionally by, okay, see you. Senley Aror Boy KE says Born to Suffer. Okay. Says 150 by Makaburi Choir in Tanzania. What is going on? Kwani mapenzi imetukata? Okay. Felix Machoka Combo says Baba mi mzabibu. Wait, you guys. Hey. And then someone else says also Born to Suffer. Kuna vile sina nyota ya mapenzi. Who is Junior as a comedian? And then Popus Jotun says kila mtu ataubeba mzigo wake. Guys, what is happening? This is Valentine's, surely. Engage with us and tell us why. Because the question was, what would be the name of the song, like in terms of your love life now, and why? Okay, so also tell us why. Why are you choosing these songs? Okay, or are they random? But even as you do that, we have Don Otieno and Pastor Cynthia Wamboy Otieno, who are qualified love, life, and relationship coaches, and they're also co-founders of Lamid Network Trust, Divas Dream Network, and Man Code Events. You guys are doing a lot. You're busy out here doing so much, and the conversation is on the power of self-love. So I'm very intrigued by your story, and we were talking about this even when we went on a break. I'm like, one date, and you ask her to where, and that's very intriguing, right? So, got married, you have kids now, and you're doing so much together.
Yes.
So, then because the reason why I was asking where were you at is what, we're basing our conversation this morning, and that is on the power of self-love, right? So at that time, would you say, because you had said that it got to a point where you had surrendered and said, if I don't get married, it's still okay. I will be okay, and you made peace with that. So where were you at that point in terms of like yourself and spending some time with yourself, loving on yourself, because by the time you get to that point of surrender,
Kimeli Ramba at that point. And I think that's what I would want to share with my viewers, because the thing is that I believe that many of us, by the time we get to the point of acknowledging that I need to love myself, I need to take care of me, is that you've done a lot of other things that were not loving towards you. You entered into toxic relationships. You had toxic friends that, basically spoke in a manner that was destructive to you, or even you allowed yourself to speak to yourself in a manner that is destructive. So by the time you reach that point where I had said, you know what, whether I get married or not, it is not a label of failure.
All right.
It is not a label of destruction. There's nowhere it says that I have to enter heaven with my marriage certificate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it is very important for a woman, and such as myself, I had made a lot of mistakes. I had done things that I wasn't very proud of. Before. And so now entering into the point of saying that whether I get married or not, I need to acknowledge that, you know what, I am beautiful. I am lovely. I've made mistakes. These are my flaws. These are the mistakes I can make and have the potential of making.
Yes.
And so once you get to that point of acknowledging that and understanding, you know what, I was created in the image and likeness of God.
Yes.
And guess what? Psalms 139 is that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You know what? Fearfully and wonderfully made means it's a rubber stamp from heaven that I am God's best. So whether somebody accepts me or not is not it's the acknowledgement comes from heaven first. And so that was so important to me. That was critical. So working on myself, I began to work on the things that I saw that I was doing that was destructive. There were things that were damaging to me and damaging to others because of the brokenness that comes from being broken as a child, being broken as a young woman, and you decide that this is what you want to enter a relationship with. So it's important to work on you. Work on how you see yourself, self-image, how you the self-talk that comes out of your mouth. There's some things that we say, niko ngangana tu.
Yes.
Niko
We
pambana.
don't know the impact.
We don't know the impact of words.
Yes.
Words are, the Bible says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. So we will say, niko tu, and so we think that it's humility.
Ama tunazeeka.
Hakuna wanaume. Wanawake ni, and then we finish the sentence.
Yes.
We are basically damaging by the tongue that we are speaking. So it was very important for me to work on myself, wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, you're beautiful, you're loved, you're needed, you're celebrated, you're valued.
You're valued.
Every morning.
I like that. You're valued.
Yeah.
Now, most of the people will get to that point of surrender out of desperation.
Yes.
Right? And they'll be like, whatever. I mean, it was not meant for me, so whatever.
Yeah.
So most people don't get to that level of surrender because they've made peace with it, but they're desperate because it's not happened, whatever, it wasn't meant for me, so we have a lot of bitterness and anger and all those things and resentment, and that also reflects, in one way or the other on how we're interacting with people. So we'll come back then to understand, how do you get to that level of surrender with peace and not anger and not bitterness? But before we get to that, Don, I want to hear from you, because again, like you said, you were engaged, it wasn't good, you got out of it and then, went on a date and decided, you know what, this is the love of my life and I'm going to lock the padlock of love, right? But at that point, how did you get to that level? Because like you said earlier on, there's no specific time as far as healing is concerned. People find healing at different times, right? So for you, how did you get to that point of self-love that you are able to extend, more love to Cynthia, that to a point where you decided, you know what, let's settle down, let's do this because we're aligned?
I guess it's not something I planned. I think not planned, but not something that just happened. When you are at a space where you feel, who am I? What am I about? Why am I here? Purpose.
Yes.
That's when you reach a place where you'll feel even making decisions or even going through pain.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not a space where you will wander or get into a lost sphere where you don't know what's going on. I think I had reached a space where I was thinking, who am I? Why am I here?
Okay.
You know? And that's when, because I was doing worship, I was doing ministry, I was passionate about where I'm going. And that's one thing I tell a lot of men, hey, find purpose. Just identify what is this thing that I want. It will make it very easy for you, man, to even get into space of relationship where you're confident. And even before you get into relationship, it will be damaging for you to come into a relationship when you yourself don't believe in yourself.
Yes.
You know, you are worried, you're scared, you're undecided. How do you bring somebody else into that space? To do what? To both get confused, you know? Both get scared and afraid. So I think purpose, finding your space. What am I supposed to be doing? Who am I? What do I want? Then as you're doing it, in fact, I dare say this, as you're doing it, the love of your life will come running after you.
Okay.
I know many times society tells us the women are attractive, but men can be attractive.
Yeah? I mean, Cynthia saw you. It's like, hey, not bad.
Yes, in that sense of handsomeness, but there's also attractive in terms of, wow, I like the way he carries himself. He's well built. He's confident. That is attractive too.
It
is. So as you're doing what you believe you are called to do, after you've found your passion and your purpose, you become attractive, both to yourself and to others around
your
you.
Potential partner.
So you get to a space where you are confident, you're bold, you're decisive, you will be attractive. So I think getting to that space now allows you to operate. By the time you feel I need to get married or I need someone in my life, you will make that decision boldly, confidently, with no doubt in your heart.
I hear that. Because not like just the physical part of it, but also the aura, you know, what you're carrying, how you're carrying yourself, how you move around, the inner man, you know, shows up, and then the right partner. You don't have to go chasing around. Now, how do we get to, you know, the question that I asked earlier on in terms of before you even get to that point of surrender, of course, like you said, there's so many things that were happening, but you started working on yourself. So for the people who are watching us this morning, the biggest question is, how do we even get there? Because others don't even know who they are at that point because of, you know, say, heartbreaks, disappointments, you know, hurt, and could be from family, could be, you know, in romantic relationships. So sometimes people lose who they are, that when you ask them, who are you and what are you looking for? They don't know because they don't know who they are, and they've not gotten to that point of self-love and acceptance that this is who I am, and I know I am loved and I am valued.
That is such a significant question. If the guys don't hear anything else, even leave the stories that we have said. One of the very most important things that we need to work on, or even to start, the beginning step, every one of us, whenever we have bought a gadget or an electronic, the first thing, once we unbox it, we look at the instructions manual. The instructions manual tells you what the manufacturer has decided how to operate this manual. Now, to operate this gadget. Many times when we try to operate a gadget without actually looking at the operations manual, we make a lot of mistakes because we do not know how to operate it. So the first and foremost is go to the operations manual and look at it and it says press this button, start, and then it will come on. What the manufacturer has done has said, for you to operate this particular gadget, this is how the steps of working it. I would say the first step about acknowledging and understanding yourself is going to the operator's manual, which is, for those of you who subscribe to being Christians, go back to God and say, who am I? Why did you put me here on earth? I was about to say, what is?
What is?
Who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to acknowledge? What are the things that I need to know about myself? Critical and most important.
I see.
Number 2, I call it do a post-mortem. Sounds gory, but do a post-mortem of the last 6 months, the last 1 year, the last 5 years. What has been the common denominator when it comes to how I deal with relationships with myself, with my makeup, and with others? What has been the common denominator in terms of the places I failed, the places I had the greatest success? How did I respond with that? It will be a very good teller if you evaluate yourself and say, these are the areas that need to change. Then the number 3 thing that you need to do after you've done those 2 is then create a plan. Create a plan for the next 6 months. I'm going to wake up in the morning and run because I'm going to work on my mind. I'm going to listen to scriptures. I'm going to meditate on the word of God, or even I'm going to start speaking in the mirror and saying, Waboy, you're beautiful. Waboy, you're loved. Waboy, you're valued. Waboy, you will wake up in the morning. So commanding your morning every morning and saying that this is, and you know what you do? You actually are working on changing a mindset and changing the very aura, or even the very person, the inner man, to become who God has called it to become.
I want to say, somebody say amen. But Dawn, let's speak to the men as well, because again, a man, right? A symbol of authority, right? And there's so much expectations when it comes to a man and who they need to be, you know, in a family setup, in a relationship, because you're the head, as with the neck. You know, they say that, right? And I like what you said earlier on, that if you don't work on self and then you bring someone into that space that you are in, which quote unquote could be toxic even for yourself, what is it that you're going to do? You know, what is it that you bring this other person to do? To get confused together, to get scared together, and all those things. So talk to the man who's like that. How do I get there to that level of self-love? And also sometimes, which I think we'll also talk with Nangami, just to understand what self-love looks like in a healthy way. Because sometimes self-love could also be toxic in a way, because I'm loving myself and I did not care about anybody else, right? I am rambling. Speak to the man. How do they get there?
Yes. For men, like I said, you look attractive. You see, when you are actually, for example, you decide I'm going to go to the gym. The way I walk into a room as someone who works out or who is feeling healthy, it will be different.
Yes.
You know, you get into a room and you feel there's presence. You know, there's the statement that goes, the boy is the father of the man. You know, the boy is the father of the man.
That's deep.
Meaning, this person you're seeing here as Dawn, there's the boy that gave birth to this Dawn.
Dawn, okay.
Meaning, many men are walking out here around with wounds as a boy. And now that boy has given birth to this man that he is right now. So you find there's a lot of self-esteem, lack of self-esteem, you know, abuse, father wounds, you know, while growing up. But that's reflecting now as a man. So part of self-care and self-love is going back. You can't force yourself to keep moving as a man, whereas the boy in you is yearning. He's still crying out and saying, I wish my dad did. I wish I was told. I wish I was encouraged. It won't work now as a man. It will be very difficult. You know, so taking time off and just going back even to the boy, the little boy Dawn. What did Dawn want? Just to hear mom say, you are excellent. Keep moving. You know, the little boy who wanted to be told, you know what? Yes, you can. You can. You know, the little boy being told, Dawn, I know you didn't make 80%, but I'm proud of you because you had 60 last time. That affirmation, many are lacking it. You know, so part of self-care is going back to the boy, trying to fix some of these things, accepting some of the things. But you see, one thing I usually tell men is the fact that you know You know, there's this statement I had a lot, even especially in the US, where people would say it is in our family. It runs in our family.
Yes.
You know,
my grandfather was like this.
My grandfather was
like
it's us. You know, you accept
just who
a
we
negative.
are. Yeah.
But I keep saying the fact that you know that dad was a drunkard, or the fact that you know we all fail in school, what are you doing about it? Why are you accepting that to keep going? Yet you're aware. You know, I'll excuse the person who doesn't know that their lineage is for failures and is failing.
Yeah.
But the fact that you know, what are you doing about it?
What are you doing about it?
You know,
Don't
there's
accept
no
it.
more excuses.
Yeah.
You know, I usually say the fact that you know, hey, you're alive and well, you're breathing, get up, do something about it. However long it takes, the fact that you have taken a step to join school, the fact that you've taken a step to start eating healthy, to start losing weight, to go to the gym, hey, that's a step. And you're going to make a big difference. Don't just accept that we are like this or I am like this. Make a difference and then move on. That's part of self-care. You will be more attractive out there as a man.
Absolutely. And remember, like we said, attractive is not, I mean, yes, it's a physical part of it. That's why not? But also the aura, you know, how you're carrying yourself, your presence, you know, is also attractive. This morning, see why we needed this conversation, okay? Now, so we're going on a break. And before that, I'm really tempted to ask, how then do we get to that level of forgiveness? Because a lot of people are wounded and we carry that with us and even take that to relationships, right? Yes. How do we get to that level of forgiveness and finding healing within ourselves so that we don't jeopardize relationships? Because a lot of people are out here jeopardizing potentially good relationships just because of the wounds that we carry and what our backgrounds did. Do you think you'll be able to answer that in like a minute each, and then we go on a break very quickly? Because the exit band are here to also entertain us. Nisikia mapenzi, you know?
Yes, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
The critical and most important thing about forgiveness is first acknowledging that I am in pain.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that I felt pain and I need to actually own it and surrender it. That's the first place of forgiveness.
Right.
Number 2, forgive myself for the role that I played. Even the fact that even if it was done to me, I accepted it. I actually allowed myself to enter into that relationship. So the power of forgiving yourself. And then forgiveness for me is actually allowing God to do the work in your heart. Do the surgery. Allow the process to take place. Many of us are running away from the surgery table.
It's
we walk
scary.
out of it.
Nobody wants
so
it.
it's important for us to do that. So those are the 2 things in 60 seconds.
Say. All right. Don?
For me, I'd say is how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? A lion in the forest or in the jungle was a cub one time.
Yeah.
It was as much as it's going to be the king of the jungle, there was a time it was walking scared of the elephant, scared of, and had to be guided and protected by the other, by the male lion. But it gets to a point where now the lion roars and every animal stands and looks.
Yes.
How bad do you want it?
Wow. I don't even want to dilute that, because ponder on that, okay? Ponder on that for a second. Not forgetting the question that we're asking you this morning, and that is, if your love life was a song, what would it be and why? Okay, if your love life was a song, what would it be and why? I'll be reading more of your feedback after the break, but right about now we throw it to the Exit Band, who are entertaining us this morning, and just with the lovely songs, because it's Valentine's Day. Let's feel the love. Love is in the air.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Na vile unang'aa, unatesa sana. Na vile umejibeba, unapendeza malaika.
Girl, you are a star. Kwa giza unameremeta.
na sifa zako zaenea sana.
Ima treat you like a star,
like a star, like a star. Injira ya huyanza na enya uranga na iwe injira ya huyanza na enya uranga na iwe. Swahili, safari ya kupendana inaanza na mimi na wewe, safari ya kupendana inaanza na mimi na wewe.
na chochote nitafanya kwa uwezo wake Maulana.
Baraka na zitufuate, bora tunikupate.
Nafasi ulinipa, nilisita, nitakutunza mama. So baby you're a star, kwa giza unameremeta,
na sifa zako zaenea sana.
I treat you like a star,
like a star, like a star. Injira ya